Hi, my name's Andy Nagara. I am with the Cincinnati Police SWAT team. This is our staging area. This is where we brief. This is where most of our operations start. I do these talks pretty regularly. Normally I'm not, I've done so many of them, they don't make me nervous. This is the first time though I've ever been filmed doing it, so it's maybe a little nervous this time. SWAT does, the two main things that the SWAT team handles are search warrants and barricaded person incidents. Search warrants, probably the thing that we spend the most time doing. A unit, a drug unit, homicide unit, district investigative unit, district violent crime squad, which is basically a district, kind of a catch-all district investigative unit. They don't necessarily investigate. They're not the detectives. They're more like vice officers in a district, but they do more than just vice stuff. If they get a search warrant, if it meets a certain level, certain risk level, and there's a form that they have to fill out that lists all the risk factors associated with serving a warrant. If it meets a certain level, they have to call us and we serve that warrant. So we serve most warrants, most drug warrants. We serve, I would say pretty much every gun warrant that is served in the city. So that's what we spend most of our time doing. Probably anywhere from 100 to 200 of those a year. It just kind of depends on the year. Some years are busier than other years. The other thing we do are barricaded incidents. So somebody takes hostages, somebody takes themselves hostage. An officer chases a wanted person into a house or an apartment or something, and now he won't come out. They think he's got a gun. He says he's got a gun. He threatens to kill a policeman, that type of thing. Could be a lot of things that make up a barricaded incident. But they call us and we have to come in and we have to resolve that incident. So we've got two parts to the team. We've got the tactical part and we've got the negotiators. I'm part of the tactical team. We're the ones that, bust the doors down, carry the guns, that type of thing. But we've also got negotiators, and most of our barricaded incidents, not all of them, but most of them are probably resolved by the negotiators. They talk the people out, they come out, and that's it. So, we're only there if the negotiators can't do their job, or sometimes it's not even a matter of negotiation. Sometimes it's just they won't say anything. They're drunk, they're passed out. They may not even be in there. The officers thought they had them cornered in the house. They call us, we all come out, get all dressed up, get the whole SWAT team there, surround the place. We'll use the PA and the bear system to talk to them, try to get them to answer us, to negotiate, and we're there for an hour, whatever. We finally make an entry, and then we find that there's nobody in the place. They got out before we were even there. So those are the two main things that we do. We also, and this is becoming more and more a part of our job over the last couple of years, is responding to like civil disturbance types incidents or protests. You've got a lot of protests across the country about police. And pretty much every time we have one of those, the SWAT team comes out, and you probably won't know it's the SWAT team. We'll be 90% of the time we'll be dressed as regular officers, but we'll be the ones that generally we're the ones that are called in to make the arrests. So there'll be other officers there to monitor it. If everybody's following the rules, they're protesting peacefully, there's no problem, you won't even see us. We'll be off somewhere, in a car around the corner, something like that. But if an arrest has to be made, mass arrests have to be made, they generally call us in, and we're the ones that handle that. Do a few other things. This year we'll probably do a lot of presidential, we'll have the president, the two nominees on both parties will probably be here. Every time they come in, there's a local response team in every when they have a motorcade, there's always a response team. It's generally a SWAT team in that motorcade. And the thinking is, if you get somebody that tries to harm the president or one of the nominees, it's the Secret Service's job to protect that person. But if they get the president out, they get the nominee out, well, somebody's got to take care of that bad guy, and that's what we're there for. So, that's not something we've ever had to do. but we're in those processions all the time. We're in the motorcades all the time. I'll show you some of our equipment here. Unless there's questions before we...
With the baseball all-star game.
Yeah,
You guys,
we did that. We do a lot of incidents like that for a terrorist response. Basically, we're there, and sometimes you'll know it's the SWAT team. Sometimes we'll be dressed in the tactical gear. Sometimes we'll be dressed in regular gear. Sometimes it'll be a mix of the two. But we're there for that response if there's a terrorist incident. Sometimes we'll be visible. Sometimes we'll be hidden somewhere during the All-Star game. Some of us were out and about. Some of us were there's a room they put us in there. And if nothing happens, we sit there and watch the All-Star game, or sit there and talk to each other. If something happens, though, we're the ones that have to go out and handle it. So that's a big part of our job also. Okay, this is some of our equipment. If you guys want to come over here. This is the Bear. All these two vehicles were bought with Department of Homeland Security funds. They were bought after 9/11. Before that, it was more with departments. It was more, get what you can afford. We had an old Brinks truck that had been donated to us, and then we converted that into a response vehicle. After 9/11, we got a lot of opportunities to purchase equipment, and these were two of the things that we got. But this is, we call it the Bear, or the company that made it calls it the Bear, ballistically enhanced armored response vehicle. This is a bulletproof truck, basically. We use this on barricaded incidents. The thing that we use it for the most is we put a negotiator in it, because a lot of times when we have a barricaded incident, it's not always what you see on TV, where you have somebody who is, there's a back and forth with the negotiator. A lot of the trick is just getting the person to say anything. They're drunk, they're mad, they don't want to talk, they don't want us to know we're out there, they're hiding. So sometimes most of the time we'll put a negotiator in here. He'll get on the PA system and he will say, we know you're in there, place is surrounded, we need you to get a hold of us, turn a light on and off, something. It depends on, each situation will be different, but he would give them some type of commands, requests, just to let them know that they're even in there to start the negotiation. So that we would use it for that. We also use it for portable cover. It's not always a time. We always send a team up there that's ready to make an entry on anything. There's always one team that goes out and surrounds the place, contains it. There's one team that's ready to make the entry. A lot of times, the team may not have a good staging area, maybe too far away if we want to make a quick entry. So we can bring this up, we put it behind it, it's bulletproof, and guys can, stand behind it or sit in it while they're negotiating. So that would be the other thing that we use this for. Every once in a while it's used on warrants. Generally, we have another truck, it's just a plain white truck. You wouldn't know it's a police vehicle. That's generally what we take to search warrants, because we don't want people to know we're coming. But if we don't care if they know we're coming, or we want them to know we're coming, we want it to be obvious that it's the police, and usually that's something where we get there, we surround the place, that type of thing. We'll take this. So that's what we use this vehicle for. This is where we keep most of our equipment. There's some equipment kept in that vehicle. There's some equipment kept in our the plain white truck that we go on warrants, but this is where we keep most of our equipment. All of our long guns are kept in here. So every officer on the SWAT team has a 9mm assigned to them. Just everybody in the police department has a 9mm. Everybody in the SWAT team is just like everyone else. We have a gun assigned to us. We also have a smaller 9mm that's assigned to us. A lot of guys wear them. You can put them on your vest, so you have your pistol here. Actually, more down on your leg. You have a pistol up here, and then you have a long gun assigned to you. These are all M4s of one type or another. They're outfitted differently. Some of them have different types of flashlights, different types of stocks. Some of them are silenced or suppressed. But they're all basically the same gun, different manufacturers. We also have breaching guns in here. If we if we can't get in using a ram, which is what gets us in 90+% of the time, we have a breaching gun. We have a special round we can put in this. It's got the serrated edge. You stick it up on the door, you pull the trigger, and it'll actually cut a lock. But the round, you can cut a lock with the shotgun slug. It's easy to cut a lock with the shotgun, but the trick is not having a projectile go into the house and kill somebody. With this gun, we have a special round. It's basically kind of a powder. So between the powder and the blast, the muzzle blast, it'll actually cut the lock, or you can cut the hinges also, and you can open the door that way. So this is something that we use. We take it on every operation. Don't end up using it that much because usually a big, strong guy with a ram gets us into most every place. I'll show you some of our other equipment over here. There's also sniper rifles in here. We don't get those out. Those are individually assigned to each of the snipers, and only they are supposed to touch them. Leg guards in here, ballistic leg guards, just different ballistic equipment. Shields over here, or I'm sorry, vests over here. Every officer's assigned a vest. There's more on the other side. So you get to the scene of an operation, or if it's a search warrant, we'll brief here. You come here, you get your equipment out. You grab your vest. Everybody's individual equipment, personal equipment is kept in here. Everybody has a box where they keep their helmet and personal things that they take on operations. Grab that. You grab your gun. You grab your leg guards if you want them. Not everybody wears them on every operation. It kind of depends. And put your helmet on, your vest, grab your gun, and we're ready to go. We have some ballistic shields up here. Over here is our command area. Electronic stuff, some cameras. You know, this stuff used to be a lot cooler and more cutting edge when it was just the police and the military that had it. Now every kid, you know, every kid in the neighborhood has something they can drive around. It's probably got better video than this will give us. They can drive it with an iPad, and the only difference between that and this is these are black and they're tactical looking, and those are, you know, colorful and they're shaped like a race car or something. But you just throw that out there and you can drive it around. So you can throw it into a place and see what you're going into before you get there. Somebody wants to, one of you guys want to? So if we're ready to make we're ready to make an entry, we get up onto the porch. We'll toss that into the living room. Now we can clear as much of that living room as we can. Now it obviously can't open closets. It can't, it can't check the whole room, but it'll give you an idea whether there's somebody in there. Then you make an entry into that room, then you throw it into the next room, and so on. It's got a limited range, and you kind of you don't have to have line of sight, but you can't be too much out of sight to make it work. So that is. We call this is the recon robot, is the, what the company calls it. That's what we call it. We also have camera balls, which are similar idea. The difference is they're not as versatile. Basically, you just toss them in somewhere. Yeah, it's not going to give us a very good view there. But we'll just set it right here. Yep. There we go. And there's two balls. There's two channels. I had to switch it to the proper channel. And then you throw it in, it rights itself, it's weighted on the bottom, and then you can make it spin, and get a view of the entire room.
Amazing.
So it's a neat tool, something we use on a pretty regular basis.
What company makes that?
It's actually a Israeli company. I don't know. DF Optronics is what it says here, but I know it's we've had issues when we've had to get them fixed and stuff in the past with the with sending them back. That's this area. Then there's also some other equipment here, night vision stuff, extra radios, things like that in here.
So if you get activated, will some of your members be on duty already? And they come in their cruisers and others are coming personal vehicles?
If we get called for an operation, depending on what it is, if it's a search warrant, a call will go out. You know, they have everybody's number. They send out a mass calling. It'll basically say to call back a certain number, tell what your availability is. Are you working? What are your work hours? And are you available? Not everybody's available, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We realize that. We've got that built into our plans. We've got a larger team. We know not everybody's going to be there for everything. So if you're available, you call in. The lieutenant that runs the team, he looks at who's available, how many guys he needs, who's on duty, who they have to pay overtime to, and things like that. And then he makes the decision on who comes in. Then he puts out another call. Everybody has a number, and he'll say, these numbers, come in, respond at this time. And you come here, we brief, we get into one of the trucks, we go out and serve the warrant, we come back here, and then we debrief from here, and then we go home. That's a search warrant. A barricaded incident, we would be called to the scene. It would be something, we didn't know this was going to happen. They just put out a mass calling, anyone available, come to this area. The safe route is this, and you get there as quickly as you can. Once they do that, then somebody will volunteer or be asked to come and pick up the vehicles. Generally, that's somebody that's working. If it's during the day, I work up here, I take the truck there. If it's at night, one of the guys working or one of the guys that lives closer to the garage here will come in and they'll get the truck, this truck, the Bear, and there'll be a negotiator that'll come in and get the negotiator vehicle right there, and that'll be taken to the scene, and then everything happens at the scene. Guys get their equipment, there's a briefing at the scene, and then then everything gets put back in the truck, and we always secure from here. We come back here and debrief. So it depends on what the operation is, if it's a search warrant or if it's a barricade.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? This has been a remarkable presentation. Thank you very much.
Sure.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you for what you do.
Thank you.